Wherever you go, the buzzword is cloud. It's just quite remarkable. Every business you speak to, every corporation, every bank, it's all about cloud. It's cloud enablement, cloud. I don't know. It's just a lot. And I wanted to understand what is driving it, what it actually means. Because sometimes we get very caught up in these buzzwords, but we don't really understand the business driver behind it.
This is Synthesis TV, keeping you on the edge of technology and business.
Joining me this morning is Paul Spagnoletti. He is the executive head of cloud and security at Synthesis. And we're going to be talking about the growth of cloud because it's definitely a buzzword. It is everywhere. Every business, everybody who's anybody is talking about it. It's the new black. Paul, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very, very good, thank you. What always confuses me is when you live in the tech world, you sometimes get caught up in this notion of tech for tech, not tech for business. If there's a growth in cloud, it has to be, I imagine, because there's a business need for it. What is driving business towards this incredible growth?
It's fascinating, right? And it's a great place to be at the moment, I think, with this evolution. I think one of the things around cloud isn't it's not about tech, right? Which is great as a starting point. It's transformational in business. And I think when I think about it, there's some obvious drivers or obvious kind of initiatives or events that have transpired over the last number of years that have helped to accelerate cloud. But I was thinking about it this morning, and I was thinking, it started happening way before that. It started happening with the evolution of the internet. Okay, and you're going to go, oh well, yeah, come on, Paul, obviously. But wasn't so much the internet. It was the internet in our hands, right? So the minute the mobile device became internet enabled, it drove a completely different behavior within the market. It gave us the power as consumers to interact and purchase online, which changed the way businesses operate today. So if you think about life before the internet in our hands, we went to a physical store. It was quite challenging for businesses still in those days, but it was very predictable, right? Like your demand was between 8 and 5. It was 8 to 1 on a Saturday, probably not on a Sunday, and that was it.
And then even if there was an online presence, it was really just simply a processing platform, wasn't
completely. And it was quite ordinary. It wasn't very interactive. And so as things evolved on our ability to transact, and the traditional user behavior became more comfortable with transacting online, so this emergence of e-commerce came about, and suddenly organizations had a different world they were dealing in. Suddenly people were buying things at 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, all this kind of stuff. How do you manage to keep your sites up when you can't predict user behavior anymore? Your store didn't define when somebody purchased something,
right? So they didn't need to predict behavior because they controlled behavior.
Absolutely.
We are opening the doors at such a time and closing it at another.
100%.
Right. And what is available on this shelf is what you can buy.
Exactly right.
So they could control consumer behavior to a large extent.
And 100%. And that's not just about a retail experience. It was banking. It was everything that we involved ourselves in, right? Which is quite fundamental. And personally, I actually hadn't thought about this a lot myself, but it was something that resonated with me, kind of just thinking about this. I think then things evolved, right? And we became more aware of the capabilities of these type of things. The emergence of like Amazon moving into the web world, when moving from a physical bookstore into the online world. Microsoft obviously was a big driver in this space. Google had always kind of been there in Google search and that type of stuff, but suddenly evolved into the enterprise. And this kind of movement started happening to enable enterprises now to take advantage of this. How do we scale in order to manage demand? How do we because think about it. In the past, even on e-commerce, before you had the hyperscalers, you could outsource your data center or you could manage it yourself. But when servers fell over, it was because the demand was too high. And so what you started doing was buying for the worst case scenario. So your environments were running at 30%, 20% for most of the year. And then when you suddenly needed that peak, then you had the compute to be able to manage it. Cloud now gave you the opportunity to scale when you needed it, and then to pay for what you needed when you didn't need that scalability, right? So really, really powerful. And Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and many others saw that opportunity and started developing that. I think for South Africa, it was still challenging because those data centers lived outside of the country. Governments started becoming aware of the risk of data sitting outside of the country, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously a lot of governance was put in place, and that curtailed our sort of rise in cloud, or acceleration in cloud. And then Microsoft and Amazon, very similar time frames, landed data centers. 2018, I think, around about that. So now we're 5 years down the line, maybe 2017. Could be slightly out in dates, but it was around about then, landed some great data centers in South Africa. And
why is that relevant? Why is data centers being local? Why should that impact on it?
Primarily data reciprocity, so having the data sitting in country. The minute your data sits outside of the country, from a legality perspective,
so I get the legal, I get the tax, I get all of that, but from a practical perspective, I guess it shouldn't make a difference. But you're saying companies were too constrained or bogged down maybe by regulations if they wanted to access data.
Absolutely, and then
place outside of the country.
latency as well. Okay, so speed of transaction, all that kind of thing. I mean, obviously, as more and more businesses become e-commerce related or enabled, should I say, your competition becomes less about your product and more about, well, can I buy it? If I'm buying from one person and another person, and this keeps hanging, I get the little circle of death, trying to find the server or taking too long. That's a poor experience, right? So it becomes very experience oriented. So latency becomes a big thing.
Right.
And having that localization, I think, was a massive drive for suddenly organizations going, hang on. I think also, look, well, I suppose, hang on, it's here now, we can take advantage, but also, I think there's also a trust, right? Like, well, Amazon and Microsoft are investing in the country. This is really good. We feel good about this.
So it gives almost a stability and a reassurance that this is not a fly-by-night thing.
Yeah.
If you want to invest in taking your business fully cloud to cloud, we got you. You don't need to worry about this.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So then I think that's here now. We saw quite a big growth in the country.
Right.
I think then our dear friend COVID hit.
Right.
And I think we've spoken about COVID until the cows come home. But the reality is a changed business as we know it today. I think one of the big challenges we've seen in the modern day now, when I say modern day, I say today, is now trying to straddle how we combine hybrid working, the remote and the on-premise type of working. But what happened through COVID was a major acceleration and need for organizations to suddenly say, well, we got distributed architectures, we've got people working from home. Suddenly, we've got people buying remote or online way more. Back before COVID, how many people did they Pick and Pay, ShopRite, Woolworths shopping online? Probably a very small minority. Suddenly, COVID hits. It's the only way we could get stuff, right? So suddenly, boom, off the wall.
And more than that, we seem to, certainly what I've noticed in South Africa is, whereas in our own experience, we were really early adapters to some of the sites to do our shopping online. It just made sense. Why not buy your heavy stuff? But it was cumbersome.
Absolutely.
And you were booking days in advance for delivery, and then you were getting substitutions, and eventually it was this toss-up where should we or shouldn't we? But now with, I don't know, all of the different, within the hour environments, everything's changed. Many people that I speak to never step into a shop anymore. They literally will have, they can have one of the delivery guys up and down to their house all day, and they don't mind it.
I mean, I found in COVID, I didn't know how much my wife shopped from Takealot until I was at home, and every second minute there was a call from the doorbell ringing with
Yeah, I've
somebody
noticed
delivering
that.
something.
You thought something was going on with
Yeah.
her and the delivery driver.
But
Yeah.
there were so many. I was like, okay,
Like, hold on a minute.
hold on.
Yeah.
But I think, but Howard, I think what's exciting about that, and again, right to your first point that you made in our conversation today, was like, it's like, is it tech or what is this? And this talks to the transformational component, right? The technology of cloud is the enabler, but fundamentally, these businesses had to fundamentally transform their business in the way they did things. They didn't provide within the hour deliveries 3 years ago. Like, that didn't happen, right? In fact, if you told me
so
that,
interesting. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm sorry, I am stopping there. Don't forget your point. But what's so amazing is how the tech grew another whole industry.
Absolutely.
And now we're seeing the scooters all over the place and the delivery,
Yeah.
So it actually, tech has translated back into the physical old school world and made a massive difference
Exactly.
there. Sorry, carry on.
Exactly. But I mean, if you'd said to me, you said 3 years ago that you would be able to place an order online and get a full monthly shop, weekly shop, daily shop, whatever, within an hour or two, because not everybody does it within the hour, but you would tell me I was smoking my socks. I suppose similar to what we've said, that we would carry a computer in our hands, right? They're more powerful than a computer. But it's just crazy how the evolvements happened and how transformational this has been for organizations. I mean, you've got to look at it just not from a platform perspective, but the distribution, the warehousing, the supply chain, all these things that are in the background to make this machine happen in order to get our milk within an hour is incredible. Or to transact on a banking platform or whatever it might be. Buy a car, I don't know, the list goes on. I mean, fundamentally, everything we do today is driven by cloud, even in our personal capacity. I mean, we store data in our personal mail accounts, etc., our photos, all in the cloud. It's not just business, but cloud is what we operate in consistently throughout our private and business lives today, which is really, really cool.
What happens beyond cloud?
So there's one step in between that, and I'm glad you asked that question. I think the next big acceleration point to cloud has been our load shedding scenario, right? And when I talk about this, what load shedding's done is it's created a challenge for businesses in running a traditional data center. If you look at a data center today, you're suddenly now having to have a lot more dependency on having generators in the background that run diesel, which is expensive. Running a data center is not just a compute thing anymore. It's a whole lot more. So that's becoming very complex and expensive for organizations to run. It's easier to just hand that off to somebody who does that as their core business. So I think that's been the next phase. So we've seen, the internet being a big driver, COVID being a big driver, load shedding being a big driver, and I really think that,
and I guess that protects your data as well.
Well, completely right. It's made us much more aware of where this was going. But I think now to your next point, which is a more exciting point, because that's negative, right? And we don't want to talk about negative stuff. Is like, what's the next evolution of cloud? And what cloud is bringing us is the opportunity to extend businesses' applications far faster than they would have had to do before. So if we talk about, so the big buzzword you're talking about is cloud. The bigger buzzword right now is good old artificial intelligence, right? AI, generative AI, or what we call Gen AI now, because we've got to shorten everything and, put in an acronym to everything we do. So Gen AI is a big talking point. If we went pre-cloud, we would, as an organization, have to spend a fortune of money to develop and build those applications or environments ourselves. Now what we've got is the power of utilizing the power of an Amazon or a Microsoft or a Google or whoever it might be, and using their technology to extend our applications that sit in their cloud. And that goes beyond AI. It goes into machine learning or ML. It goes into the data lakes. It goes into databases.
So effectively, you're growing your business off the back of somebody else's development technology.
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to do it yourself, which why 100%.
would you? And where's the IP? What's going to move your business?
So I tell you, I mean, they're telling me I need to wrap up, but I'm just so fascinated by this. The problem is that most people in business don't either have the knowledge all the time, because running a business is not easy. And they're stressed and they're worrying about all sorts of things. So listening to this, I would say, if I were them, wow, that sounds brilliant. I wonder but how do I find this? What do I do? How do I know what is good for my business? Where do I go?
So, I mean, it's quite easy. So, hashtag synthesis, first point, like
Right.
certainly can help you. And I mean,
No,
I'm saying that
but no, you're not going
facetiously,
to try and sell us. You're not going to try and sell me, the whole of Amazon. I just want to know how it can help my business.
So probably, but I mean, in reality, I think that's.
Look, honesty was not the way to go here.
But I mean, I think we've designed, and some of our competitors as well. We've designed a business that allows you to really see where the focal points and where you are in that journey. Like right from starting with developing your roadmap, or assisting you and working with you in developing a roadmap and a strategy, helping you with building business cases, total cost of ownerships, all the way through
so interesting, because
just
sitting here thinking about it, it's actually all about trust. And I'm not saying that
100%
people
about
listening
trust.
to this who don't know us, should just trust Paul because he's a cool guy. But you do your work, do your research, speak to people, whoever you go with, make sure that you have a relationship with them that is one of high trust.
Absolutely.
And and competence.
Well, completely. I mean, as we've said, this is transformational to your business. It's core to your business. We used to think about big systems as core and that type of thing. It's no longer that. Like it's distributed now. And so you have to have partners that you trust that can take you on this journey.
Absolutely.
And it's
right.
not just about
Absolutely
technology.
right.
So, I think that collectively between ourselves, between our partners, both consulting as well as OEMs like the Amazons, Microsofts, Googles, I think we've got some amazing value to provide. But I think there are also other players that also do a similar thing. I think you've got to take a partner that you believe in and trust, to your point, and the opportunity for organizations is immense. Like this fundamentally moves the needle in a business. And I often get asked, how are you going to move the needle? Well, this is the kind of stuff that will do it. And I think if you've got an organization that allows you to leverage things like cloud and data and digital, I think you're on a winning streak. And we're lucky at Synthesis to have that combination. I think where things are going is super exciting. Cloud allows you to have the platform to really be able to enable many of these functions, which before, due to restrictions in scalability and that type of thing, didn't allow for that. Now, the world is our oyster, the sky's the beginning, never mind the limit.
Careful, because you're going to start mixing metaphors.
I know, but it's fun.
I know, but you're going to go there.
I know. You
You
stopped me early.
I'm going to stop you right now. So, there's a message for a good time called Paul. Oh no, that's OnlyFans. That's different. That's a different recording. If you do want more information, on cloud, on synthesis, comment below and we'll reach out to you. Paul certainly will reach out to you. He's available to have a meeting, have a conversation about it. Understand this process, because I think that is absolutely critical. Do not go on this journey unless you are doing so with a company that you can trust, that is on a high in terms of competence, and that can advise you properly, because the future of your business depends on it. So put comments below, reach out to us. I'm Howard Feldman. This has been an episode of Synthesis TV.